cruising down the road.
For those that are just tuning in, Corey's talking about doing cocaine.
Just kidding.
No. So you think McDonald's coffee is like rocket fuel?
I think it's amazing. Yeah, it just works. I don't know what it is, but it just...
Is the coffee more important than the breakfast for the fast food breakfast?
No, but they did bring back the steak bagel at McDonald's.
They got rid of it.
They paused on the bagel sandwiches at McDonald's for a little while.
They did. They didn't have them for a minute.
That's how long I haven't been there, because last time I was there, I got it.
But no,
you're like Adam Sandler in Big Daddy. Like, I haven't been up for McDonald's breakfast since.
It's not haven't been up for. It's more of a conscious choice of the doctor said my cholesterol's too high.
Oh, did he really?
I mean,
you got one of those?
What, a doctor?
Yeah, I've never been to one.
Yeah, they're pretty interesting. They're pretty tight. I mean, it's not like bad, but it's more of like a hey, maybe don't shove 3, McGriddles in your face, and you're like, but I wanna.
Yeah, but they're tasty. Have you had a McGriddle?
What would you rather do?
No, so Burger King actually has this sausage, bacon, egg, and cheese croissant.
Okay.
And it's
a
fire.
croissant-wich.
The croissant-wich is objectively really good. I think
very good sandwich.
Honestly, with both McDonald's and Burger King, I would objectively say I like their breakfast more.
I mean,
I know Corey's a Burger King stan, so I'm probably stepping on.
Well, I just think. I don't know if I like it more.
The McGriddle is by far leaps and bounds the best breakfast sandwich fast food breakfast sandwich that exists.
It's good until I'm about halfway through, and I'm like, this shouldn't exist in nature.
Yeah. Also,
well, that's
why
not why you're eating
it. Small and yet so expensive, and I like, as far as like, I don't know. I don't know if I could say one is better than the other. I just objectively think that the Burger King Whopper, like a hot, fresh Whopper, is better than any fast food sandwich you can buy if made right. You get variance amongst the chains, right? There's a good McDonald's, there's a bad McDonald's, right? Certain ones you don't go to.
No, right. Completely fair.
Yeah. That's just where I land. Where's our boy T? Where's he at? Where's Sweet T? Still out in Denver?
They just got back in
jacking off in San Diego.
So no, they just got back in maybe an hour or two ago. So he sent me his picks on the fly. He will be back in full swing next week, ladies and gentlemen. So next week, Aaron, you're not going to be here, and then
I will be out again. And then
we're not going to have the whole squad here for another 2 weeks. Well, not 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today.
Aaron, you're going to Austin. Are you going to go to the mothership?
I mean, I'm not. I get in Monday night, leave Thursday, conference Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it's a work conference. So I have.
Sounds like you need to make some clients
and stuff. Yeah, I mean,
dinner's at the mothership.
I might, and but I don't know. I'm curious what those shows look like on a Tuesday.
It's like the new Chili's, right? So it's the golf course of the restaurant world.
Yeah, it's where business gets done.
Absolutely. I may end up getting to play UT's college course.
Oh, so Stove's hooking you up?
No, he's actually never played it, but he said it's like, I mean, obviously it's like where Scheffler went, right? So, no, my boss knows somebody down there. He said it's not like a done deal or anything, but he's like, just a heads up, don't make dinner reservations on Wednesday. I was like, you got it, bud.
Deal.
All right, fair enough. Well, Rally Towel Sports family, good evening. Welcome to the show. Obviously, we started off on a tangent. Let's kind of dive into last week's chaos, and then we'll get into our week 3 picks. So, tough sledding
for 2 weeks. I'm so excited.
Tough sledding for everybody last week, except for Mr. Aaron Mailing. He was the only one with a positive plus 500 record last week, coming in at 9-7. We had a couple 8 and 8s in the chat. That was Pops and Mr. Ryan Jester. Everybody else was below 500. I was the worst at 6 and 10. 7-9, Corey, Todd, Josh, Ariel, Tez. The 8 and 8s were Pops and Ryan, and the lone 9 and 7 was Aaron. So total standings, Todd and I are tied for the lead for the panel at 19 and 13. Corey's in second, 18 and 14, and Aaron made up a lot of ground, 17 and 15. It's only 2 games off the lead.
I had a rough week 1, boys.
You did.
I was taking shots left and right.
But the leader amongst everybody is Pops at 21 and 11 through 2 weeks. So Chad is actually doing better than we are right now. Pops at 21 and 11. We've got Josh, Ryan, and Ariel tied at 20 and 12, and Tez at 19 and 13. So collectively, they're kicking our ass, boys. We got
Pops knows ball, man.
Right.
I mean, what do you want?
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of games last week. Go ahead. What were you gonna say, Corey?
He's just seen so many more games.
There's
a slight jab. It's a slight jab, but with love. With love.
So yeah, some key games last week. The lone wolf for the Bills Dolphins game was Pops. He got that one from everybody. Ryan Jester actually had 2. He had the Saints over the Cowboys and the Bucks over the Lions. 2 very astute calls, and then Aaron had 2, which were the Cardinals and the Falcons.
Yeah, we kind of roasted you about the Falcons.
Well,
yeah,
suck a dick.
Yeah, you had the last laugh. So
football's football, man. It's wild shit. I want to play a game while we're going through these picks this week, and it's called "Are They Good?" And I want you to tell me whether the team that we're talking about is good, because I don't know. It's week 2, and I have no fucking idea who's good and who's not.
Yeah,
I might just flip a coin for some of these games tonight. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. I think I might have as good. I mean, I went 6 and 10 last week. You go
like, are the Buccaneers better than the Ravens? I don't know. Record says they are.
Yeah, I'm not looking at the record. There's a couple of things that I'm looking at when I'm looking at these teams. One is quarterback play, obviously very important, but also offensive line, ability to rush the passer. Those are big things for me early on, because I think that those translate long term, right? Whereas games can be games, right? Like things can happen, games can be games. What the fuck am I saying? Things can happen, right? Games can go one way or the other. It's the NFL. There's a lot of back and forth, but long-term success is usually derived by good quarterback play, keeping that quarterback upright, and then getting to the other guy's quarterback. Those are usually indicators of a team that's going to do well.
Sure. Yeah. Well, speaking of some quarterback play, we've got Mr. Aaron Rodgers at home with the Jets taking on the Patriots. Thursday night game. This is going to be I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one. I have
the Jets good.
Yeah, there's the first one of the day.
No, they're not. They're not good. Aaron Rodgers is still good.
Are the Patriots? And here's the reverse side of it. Are the Patriots bad?
No, I don't think they are. I don't think they are. I really don't think they are.
I mean, no, sorry, Bob. I didn't mean to step on your toes.
No, you're fine. I mean, when you look at the game last week, I mean, in overtime, the Seahawks beat the Patriots. Like, that was a game that, like, I was the only one that had the Patriots, and they very much could have won that game. Like, it was a coin flip. Going back, the Patriots have played a lot better the first 2 weeks than I think any of us would have ever imagined. Not looking at their record, just looking at their play. Ramondre Stevenson has been fantastic. The Seahawks, who knows? Like, you've got a lot of weapons and a lot of talent there on the offensive side of the ball. Kenneth Walker did get hurt, so that's obviously bad news for them. But yeah, going into this game against the Jets, I mean, what kind of play are we going to get from that Jets defense? Are they going to be able to stop the run? Is Aaron Rodgers going to be able to get some plays off against the pass rush? So. Aaron, what do you got for Patriots Jets week 1?
Yeah, I mean, I say all of that going into this about are they good, are they bad too. I'm still going to take the Jets over the Pats because I think the Jets are the better football team. I have not really seen much out of Aaron Rodgers outside of maybe like the first 2 drives against the 49ers. I was like, oh, okay, I can see this can work out. they were supposed to wipe the floor with the Titans. The Titans, that's one where I can go, they are not good. I don't think the Titans are good at all.
They're bad.
They're bad. And that's one of the only ones I can say with certainty. One thing I am going to give the Patriots a lot of credit for, and I think I heard Kevin Clark talk about this on his podcast. One of the things that he's sure about this season is Patriots are going to play hard for Mayo. They're doing it right now. I think you're seeing a team that is, kind of, we were wondering what this team was going to look like the post-Belichick era. And if you were just a passive viewer and you were to sit down and watch a Patriots game, the theme or the mise en scène of it, just the feel for it, right? It still feels like I'm watching New England Patriots football. That being said, I'm still going to take the Jets here. They're the better, more talented team. But again, that showing against the Titans last week proved nothing to me, and I'm actually very disappointed in their start.
Sure. Corey.
The fuck did you just say?
What?
You know what?
Mise en scène?
Yeah, see? You knew exactly.
So you know when you watch... I know what it is. So have you ever watched a Quentin Tarantino movie?
Sure.
As opposed to like a Ridley Scott movie? You know how it has just that Tarantino feel to it?
Sure.
That's the mise en scène.
What is that?
It's what makes it unique for that individual person.
There you go. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Okay. Why did you say that? Where did you learn that? Where did you learn that word is what I want to know, Aaron.
Film school?
That phrase. You went to film school?
Well, like intro to film in college.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. You
It's
pulled that one out of somewhere that you never said that to me ever before. I've known you a long fucking time. You never said that. So I just wanted to know.
That's interesting.
He's not even mad.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad. Well, when he said it, I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
He's mad because it's French.
Corey.
I'm taking the Jets here. I align with everything that Aaron was saying about the Patriots as well. The thing that I think is kind of a common theme right now that we're going, the top three quarterbacks right now are guys I wouldn't have guessed, or like guys that aren't really people I would have supposed are going to be at the top of the heap this year. They're starting the season really hot. I think that's going to cool off. I think we're going to see that cool off. I think there's a couple of guys that's going to happen with. I think Jacoby Brissett is one of those guys. I'm not saying it happens this week. He could still play some really solid football against this Jets team, but I am taking the Jets. I think long term, we're still going to be saying the Patriots need a solution at quarterback by the end of the season.
Yeah, fair enough. Don't really have much to add. Just really excited to see what Breece Hall can do. Still waiting for that huge game from him.
He had a good game last week.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. He had a pretty solid performance there. Caught a nice touchdown on a go ball, but I'm taking the Jets here as well.
Winner in all this is Drake May. They have no reason to be like, we got to get him in there. We got to get him in there. And that's the best thing that can happen to him.
Yeah.
The Patriots are actually
going to develop a quarterback.
Yep.
So something you don't get to see too terribly often. Todd also has the Jets. I got the Jets. So we are all simpatico there. Rolling into a game that Aaron is probably going to have so much fun talking about. We've got the football Giants headed to Cleveland to take on the Browns.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 0 for 2 for my Browns picks this year. I'll tell you that. Last week was a classic hedge against your happiness, though. Classic. I thought the Browns were going to win, but I was like, I'm not losing points for that.
Right.
I'd be just as fine with the win. Interesting game last week. One of the things that, again, the Browns showed was that defense is still legit. They certainly showed that. I think when you have the offense that can't get a first down, you see all those 3 and outs in week 1. Any defense is going to look bad in that situation because they can't catch a break. They can't get a rest. The Giants are bad again. Are they good? Are they bad?
No, they're bad.
Can't tell you for the Browns, but I can tell you for the Giants. With Deshaun, who knows what the hell you're going to get. I've been out the last 2 weeks, so I want to just real quickly talk about what the hell is going on, because I want to shame Browns fans for a second. You guys know me. I was here with you guys when the thing happened. I can't tell you how sick I am to see Browns fans be like, oh, well, maybe we can get out of it because of this. It's like, that's kind of shitty. Not to say to get out of it, get out of the contract, void the deal or anything like that. But now that it benefits you, now you give a shit is kind of sickening to me. And I just want to call that out. We're not all like that. Still go Browns. Brown stuff's still going to stay up in my basement till the end of time. I can't wait to get rid of this fucking guy. I can't wait to get rid of him.
That's kind of, I spoke for you last week.
Good.
That was kind of the, I guess, the essence of what I was saying is that you never ever once defended Deshaun Watson, but it's in your blood that you will always root for the Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
And I think more so than anything, the only thing you really want is a long-term solution at the quarterback position, something that you haven't really had. You thought you had it at times, and this situation is completely unique, I think, to any of the other ones. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Browns fans thinking about it from that perspective, but at the same time, I don't disagree with from a front, like if you can.
Oh no! I'm not even like yes, and the Browns were smart to put that type of language and everything in the contract and everything like that. But it's weird that it's a different percentage of fans that weren't being.
Well, he's also playing bad. He's also playing.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Now that
if he was playing great, it would be a completely different conversation.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm at least pointing out I've been consistent on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have,
and it's rubbed me the wrong way being in the fan base. So
yeah, absolutely. Looking at this from a front office perspective, if you can get out of that contract right now, you get the fuck out. You run, you just go into rebuild mode on the offensive side of the ball and just try to figure it out. Yeah, I mean, that being said, I'm assuming you're taking the Browns.
Yeah, no, I mean that defense is going to absolutely just eat Daniel Jones.
Yeah. I also second that. Todd agrees. Josh and Pops have the Browns. Corey, I'm assuming you're going to follow suit here as well.
Yeah, the Giants are terrible.
Yeah.
And this is what I want to point out. This is what I talked about at the beginning of the season. Cleveland is going to win football games early, and that's going to keep them in the hunt at the end of it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the defense is definitely going to carry them through a big portion of the season. And with the way the offense has been playing right now, the defense might have more points on the board than the offense in this game. So if you got the Browns defense in your fantasy league, start them. Now, moving on to two teams that have completely shocked us in different ways. We have the New Orleans Saints, who are just unbelievably just tearing it up on the offensive side of the ball. Then you got the Philadelphia Eagles. So polar opposite performances week 1 into week 2. So Corey, I will let you start this one. Philadelphia Eagles versus New Orleans Saints. Who you got?
Yeah. I'll air my dirty laundry. I said that Dennis Allen was going to be one of the first coaches fired this year. Not looking accurate as of
not
now. Not aging well early on in the early goings here. Credit to Derek Carr. So far early off in the season, Alvin Kamara staying on the football field, also pretty good for Saints fans everywhere. That said, I think Derek Carr also falls into this category of somebody that's going to kind of get figured out, or will fall back to earth in some form. At least that's where I would be hedging my bets. That's where I would be putting my chips. And as we talk about this, there are certain quarterbacks that their leash is a little bit longer, right? Or shorter, depending on what we've seen previously, right? Like, I still feel good about Jalen Hurts long-term, right? I still feel good. Patrick Mahomes threw 3 interceptions last week. I still feel good about Patrick Mahomes going forward, right? But there are other guys like a Sam Darnold, like a Jacoby Brissett, like a Derek Carr, where I'm not sold yet, right? I'm not sold that the flip has been hit or switched, right? So I still think this Eagles team is better. I am going to bet against the Saints again. They are a 2.5 point favorite at home. To be clear, this line opened opposite. There has been a 5-point swing on this line. It opened at Saints plus 2.5. They are now minus 2.5. I'm sorry. So that's pretty wild. But I'm gonna go with the Eagles. I'll take Eagles in the points. If I get that bet, I'm gonna take that every single time. But give me the Eagles. I might be looking stupid on Wednesday next week, but I'm gonna do it.
Aaron.
Yeah, guys, are the Saints good? Are the Eagles good?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think the Eagles are good.
Barring a a caught pass instead of a drop ball from Saquon, the Eagles are 2-0.
Go ahead.
I just don't want to get caught up in recency bias. Like, we weren't even discussing this going into last week. You know what I mean?
I need to.
I'm just saying it's a legitimate fact. He catches that ball, they're 2-0.
Oh no, I'm just talking about, are the Eagles good? Are the Saints good?
Gotcha.
Like, we weren't even discussing, like, 1 week we're just basing it off the data of this season. It's very small sample size. I'm not ready to change my alternate positions on most teams yet.
Gotcha. I understand where you're coming from. You want to stay consistent with where you think these teams are accurately at.
Like,
even to add on to that, though, Corey, like, let's say, Bobby, that they did or Saquon does hold on to the ball. I'm still asking the question: are the Eagles good?
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. I mean, but then you have to ask the question, like, are the Falcons bad?
I don't know. So what I need to remember for every year moving forward is to not overreact to week one, because I would have told you. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the Browns put out an absolutely terrible performance week one, but that defense was sensational in week one for the Cowboys, and the offense was able to be put on ice at halftime. And they did all of that on the road outside of the friendly confines of Dallas, where they were last year, right? Or was that in the last week? Was that in the Superdome?
That was in Dallas.
Right?
It was a
and they had a 16-game winning streak, right? Yeah. So, Corey, shrewd move on your part to go here with the Eagles, because as you saw a 5.5-point split, where was Vegas at the beginning of the game or before the action came in the other way? They were on the Eagles. I'm also taking the Eagles, and I think the Saints could be good. I don't know, but I've seen Derek Carr start hot before and fall back to earth, and I'd be more willing to be wrong about that and have the Saints be 3-0 than pick this the other way and feel like a fucking idiot. I think the Eagles are the better top to bottom roster. And if I'm wrong on this one, that's fine. I want to see it one more week.
I'm exactly the same. The same with you, though.
So I'm just kind of looking at this from a perspective of like what the Eagles went up against last week versus what they're going up against this week. And they're going up against a team that has played together a lot longer than that Falcons team has. And Alvin Kamara is going to give them problems if Alvin Kamara does what Alvin Kamara does. In the first 2 weeks of the year, he has done exactly that. I'm taking the Saints at home here.
Can I ask you this, Bobby?
Yeah.
What about the Eagles defense tells you that they're going to get run on?
It's not necessarily the run. That's not really where Kamara shined. He shined in that short check down, which is where Derek Carr likes to live. And Alvin Kamara is great at it. So, and the Eagles have not been great against the check down. They showed that last week. So,
I think overall last week their defense looked like that was a defensive slugfest on Monday Night Football.
It was for the most part, but like you saw in those short yardage situations, that's where they really struggled. Like defending the pass, and that's ultimately what cost the game against Drake London. You know, that stack formation they had on the right side where everybody split off, and then Drake London ran a nice little out. Like those short yardage formations, that's where this passing game for the Saints is really good, because you've got a lot of quick guys off the ball, and if you don't get your hands on them, they're gonna make you pay for it.
So the key to beating the Eagles is mediocre quarterbacks. That's the key. Your quarterback can't be too good.
Well, you know, I've got another theory on Kirk Cousins that we can talk about later. Very, very excited to throw this one at you guys and see what you think. But Todd's got the Saints. I've got the Saints. Josh and Pop both have the Saints. So pretty split decision here. I mean, I think it's a game that could go either way. So I'm excited to watch this game. That's for sure. Now we've got another battle of quarterbacks. We've got CJ Stroud headed into Minnesota to take on Sam Darnold. Are the Vikings good?
I don't know, Bob. I don't know.
Corey, go ahead.
Yes, I've been saying it for 3 weeks. Yes, I like this Vikings team. They're good. This roster is good. Their head coach is fantastic. Sam Darnold is playing good football. That won't last is my only caveat to this. I don't think Sam Darnold will be great for a long period of time. I think what we're getting at him right now is fantastic, right? And he has obviously the benefit of the best wide receiver he's ever played with, right?
Josh Nathan, thanks for liking the video.
Are we sure? Is Jets playing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know he went out.
I think he was okay though.
It sounded like kind of like they avoided worst case scenario is just not putting him in IR after what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like the tune going into this week was he should be good to go, but I just saw it and I was like, I just assumed he was out. So I just mentally can't get over watching him walk off the field.
Yeah.
Let's see what ESPN is saying. Quad practice in a limited capacity today.
Because that's a big, like, if he doesn't play, I don't like, he's that important to that offense.
Yeah.
And I think Darnold has played phenomenal. Hey, you were talking about good we've seen limited quarterback play at the beginning of the year. Shout out the 2018 quarterback class between Baker, Darnold, and Allen, just slinging it. Rosen somewhere on suicide watch, but outside of that, they're crushing it. And Lamar, even Lamar's like they've been they haven't been good, but he's had moments still. Anyways, same thing. Houston is not as good as they were touted to be walking into this year. I'll tell you that. I felt
think we
like
all kind of called that.
Yeah, I just think the bandwagon had too many people on it. The tires get stuck in the mud a little bit, but I still think the Texans are the better team. I'm not sold on the Vikings yet. Kind of the same thing we were just talking about with the Saints, Corey. And I'm with you. Like I think this team has got a chance to make the playoffs. And surprised a lot of people this season. I've certainly changed my tune from the beginning of the year with all the injuries that we saw from them, in the preseason and walking into the season. Let's go with the Texans here, though. I'm just assuming we're going to see them. Stroud kind of step up here a little bit and just being a little bit unsure about how Jefferson is going to be. Is he going to be at 100%? Even if he plays at 80%, he's a top 10 receiver, but he's really the straw that stirs the drink over there.
Yeah, I'd much rather be making this pick, on Saturday or Sunday morning, as opposed to right now. We still got the rest of the week left to decide if he's going to play. Corey, you took Houston, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Man, I'm still I'm split here. This is one of those where I feel like you could just flip a coin. You might be right.
Would you like me to?
No. God. Vikings are home. Texo.
Got odds?
Give me the odds. I'm going to take a look here.
Not going to help you much, but the Vikings are currently 2-point underdogs. They opened at 2.5-point underdogs. So,
man. Well, God, the Vikings beat the 49ers. That's just such a good win. Give me the Texans. Taking the Texans here. I'm just gonna go with the kid that I think's got more talent. So, and the fact that since the Vikings are 2-0, I don't know if they're gonna trot him out there if he's literally not 100%, risk him for the rest of the year. So, either that or they'll play him in a limited capacity, which is going to put a strain on that offense. So,
I guess to put an optimism spin on it for Jefferson, did he think that they were going to start 2-0? I'm sure he did, like in his head, but he probably wants to be out there knowing.
Oh, for sure.
To go.
Yeah, I know he wants to be out there. It's just, is it going to be smart for him to be out there? That poses the question. All right, moving forward, we've got the Denver Broncos taking things to the East Coast to take on the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield's hot, boys. Baker Mayfield's hot. It is what it is, man. The Buccaneers
like as a dude.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like that,
I thought you were saying you did. Sorry, I just asked for clarification. That's all.
I'm gonna throw the challenge flag. We're gonna need to review it.
Yeah, we're gonna need to review it.
I say, well, one thing that's hot down there is that connection to Mike Evans. So it seems like nobody can stop it, but that's kind of been something that's happened over a decade. Doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball. And then you got Bo Nix. Who's he's had a tough couple weeks in his tenure at the helm in Denver. So start things off with Todd. Todd's got the Buccaneers. There was no context given with these picks. I just have picks. So Aaron, I'll let you lead it off. Broncos, Buccaneers.
I mean, I got to ask it.
Yep.
Are they good? Are the Bucs good? Like what is? This has been such a wild start to the season to me, and I don't know if the new kickoff rule has something to do with it, or the fact that
there's been so many touchbacks, though. I don't think.
And yeah, no. Well, there's that. Well, the other part I was going to mention is the ridiculous field goal kicking, which is just like 2-foot putts for everybody now. Apparently, it's like a 50-yard field goals are gimmies, which I didn't know we were living in that world.
Kickers are lighting up the fantasy world the first 2 weeks.
I want every kicker in the league to piss in a cup right now. Every one of them. That's not necessarily for this game, but so for Denver, I am pretty sure is bad. I obviously don't like what I've seen out of Bo Nix. I didn't think I would. I didn't think he was a first-round talent. Maybe he can be something someday, but he already came kind of pre-installed as a 25-year-old. He's older than Kyle Pitts. We're gonna go with the Buccaneers here. I gotta quit trying to hate on them. They've been the team I think that has impressed me the most this season, even more than the Saints.
Corey.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bucs here as well. I thought going into Detroit, getting that win, especially kind of riding the storm of the initial onslaught of Aiden Hutchinson to start that game with 4 sacks. I think the Bucs are good, and obviously a lot of it has to do with Baker. Baker was slinging that football on Sunday, man, and he's moving around great. And yeah, I gotta go with Tampa Bay here. As far as Bo Nix is concerned, I'm not. I think they can have a really bad season, and I could still not be completely out on him yet. And the reason I say that is because there's nothing there. There's nothing there in Denver. They got nothing going on, and it's not just him.
For sure.
Just put that piece out into the universe. We'll see what time does with Bo Nix, but
it's already done a lot.
Yeah, right. At least in the NFL, but yeah, give me Tampa on this one.
Yeah, John coming in with a good point. Show some love for the Bucs defense. Held the Lions to 1 touchdown and 7 red zone trips. That is pretty impressive, especially when you've got a freaking touchdown machine in David Montgomery. So
I think the Lions have started. I don't want this to take away from what the Bucs did in that game, but I think the Lions have started objectively slow this year as well. And again, it's just one of those things where 2 weeks in the season, the way that NFL teams treat the preseason these days, like I feel like we're still in the preseason.
I also want to give some. We'll talk about the Lions in a minute. We'll talk about the Lions.
Yeah. But credit to the Bucs. Sure. Like I said, they've been. I
want to just put this out. As we're talking about this game, the Lions lost that more than the Bucs won it, and we'll talk about it when we get to the Lions.
We're 2 weeks into the season, and I'm just going to go ahead and say I was wrong about the Bucs from the beginning of the year. That's it.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm also taking the Buccaneers along with everybody else in chat. Ariel, welcome in. Thanks for popping in. The 2 other games that you missed, you had the Eagles on the road versus the Saints, and the Texans on the road versus the Vikings. So if you want to put those picks in, that would be appreciated.
Fun fact about John Thrasher in the chat real quick. 1, just destroys a bass guitar.
Absolutely.
2,
loves bass.
2 is an heir to someone or the people that founded the city of Atlanta or Savannah. Atlanta. I think I saw John. Correct me in the chat. Shout out to John Thrasher.
Shout out. I was texting him earlier, and we were sharing some songs back and forth. And I was like, "I'm so sorry, dude. I'm about to pod with Corey," and he's like, "Oh, sweet. I'm gonna go check it out." I was like,
Hell yeah.
I love
What's
you,
up, John?
Love you, John.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, I was going to try to segue some type of music thing in here. We're just going to roll into it. Tennessee Titans. They are, because I was like, they don't play in Nashville. They play in Knoxville, or is it Nashville?
No, they play in Nashville.
They play in
Okay,
Nashville.
man, I had it, and I just it's fine. We'll just forget about it.
Speaking of music, let's go to Music City for this next game, Bob.
There you go. See, that's what I was going to do, and then I didn't want to sound like a jackass. So
Cashville.
Titans are hosting the Green Bay Packers. So obviously, no Jordan Love last week, and then the Titans.
He's talking about maybe playing.
Yeah, I know. He said he was
He's not
going
gonna,
to try to make a comeback, but I don't see that type of thing happening. But yeah, I mean, the Packers still able to get a win last week over the Colts, which was pretty impressive considering I don't think any of us had a lot of confidence in Malik Willis. And then the Tennessee Titans losing a close one to the Jets. So
Malik Willis revenge game.
yeah, could be. I mean, that's going to be the story here. Malik Willis going up against the old team, traded them away.
I think the story here is just the candidness of Brian Callahan last week when talking about Will Levis in these press conferences.
Yeah.
Just like first, if you didn't see it all over Twitter, the clip of Brian Callahan coming off the sidelines after another Will Levis insane fumble / turnover, just literally saying, "What the fuck are you doing?" It is so easily to read his lips there. And good question, Brian. Good question. And he gets to the press conference and just says, "Yeah, I was embarrassed. I have no idea what he's doing. I was extremely frustrated. We've talked about that. He still went out and did it. I don't know what he's doing." Like he's just very upfront and honest about what's going on. It's kind of refreshing, actually.
It's like when I come home and like the dog got in the trash again. I just have no idea what he's doing. We've talked about this. We've trained for this.
Still happening.
Yeah, like he's still doing it.
We've bought toys.
Yeah. Like I guess it's on me though.
That's all coaching at the end of the day. So.
I'll just come out and take that. I will take Malik Willis, Jordan Love. I don't give a fuck. I'm not picking the Titans for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's interesting because we talked about, hey, Malik Willis had a pretty good game last week. I think the Packers drew up the perfect game plan for him, not to mention the fact that they were able to gash runs like that at the beginning of the game where it was like, all right, cool. Don't really need him to do anything outside of like 3rd and long. And they put him in plus positions. Now, typically when you have somebody, when Love went down, we immediately were talking about who can the Packers get, right? That's bad news for your backup quarterback when the guy who's in the goddamn position isn't qualified for it. And we're like, oh shit, we need to look elsewhere. Like that's what this gentleman right here is for that you just traded for. If this was anybody else than the Titans, I think I would fade the Packers here because it's tough to get a Willis type in 2+ game situations like that. Especially against NFL defenses, coaches that can scheme for it. But I am so down on the Titans. I got to just roll with the Packers roster.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of who's at the quarterback position, the Packers are the better team, hands down.
Yes.
So
yes, but the quarterback can make that irrelevant.
Yes, he can. But Malik Willis showed that he can somewhat manage a game. He can take care of the ball. And they can get it done.
15 passes or something.
Yeah, wasn't anything crazy, but they got it done, and that's really all that matters at the end of the day. I don't trust the Titans. I don't trust Will. They have nothing positive going down there except for DeAndre Hopkins. That's about it. So, all right, moving on. We got to battle a couple young quarterbacks in Indianapolis next week. We've got the Chicago Bears taking on the Colts.
Yeah,
Caleb Williams.
I'll lead it off. I don't think Caleb is bad by any means. I just don't think he's like their offensive line is terrible. Like watching that Houston game was kind of a cringe fest just for the sake of like, guy got half a second after snapping the ball and he's getting killed. And, you know, this is probably not the best example, but Corey, when the Bengals drafted Jamar Chase and there was like the whole meme of like, you know, Joe Burrow throwing it downfield to Jamar Chase, or and that's my only point to recall it. I'm not saying that came to fruition, but that's how I feel watching the Bears, where they're like, great, we got Caleb, let's re-sign DJ Moore, let's trade for Keenan Allen. Shit, we got 2 first-round picks. Let's bring in Odunze. Can't do shit with them. You can't do fucking shit with them. Like their offensive line is pitiful, bad, awful, whatever adjective you want to use, does not matter. The Colts have at least shown that they were able to match points with the Texans, who we think are a good football team. Last week against the Packers, I always thought that was going to be a tough game for the Colts just because you're going into Lambeau for a home opener. The Packers defense, I think, is underrated comparatively to, where I think people perceive them at. And Anthony Richardson he's a hot potato, right? Like, could he throw for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, or rush for 100 and a score, or have a 35% completion percentage? They're all in the range of outcomes. I'll take good Anthony Richardson in this game and assume the fact that Caleb Williams is still not going to be able to get blocked for.
No, absolutely. Corey.
Anthony Richardson, what we saw last week was kind of when 3 interceptions. I think what we're seeing is kind of the sporadicness of inexperience with Anthony Richardson. We talked about this last week, and that his ceiling, I think, is higher than any quarterback in the NFL.
We did, yeah.
But again, that was his 18th start since high school, right? Yeah, that's crazy. He's so raw still, and I think you are still going to see these games out of Anthony Richardson. So I'm going to roulette strategy this one and take the Colts and say that we get a pretty decent game out of Anthony Richardson here.
Just because you said that, I know it's going to land on green 0-0 and it's going to be a tie.
Place the bet,
baby.
Todd, no worries, fella. Mary, Ariel, thanks for liking the stream. Todd, thanks for liking the stream. I do want to double back to the Packers Titans real quick. Todd did take the Titans on that one. So Todd's lone wolf on that one.
I don't hate the pick. Like I said, if it was anybody else, I would have faded the Packers just because I don't think it's tough to get Willis in those game scripts twice in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. Corey, who you got this? You said the Colts. Got it.
Yeah.
Aaron, you're taking the Colts as well?
Yes.
Okay. Got it. I'm also taking the Colts. Until I see something from the Bears, they're probably going to be faded every week until I see something positive. So, all right. Moving on to a team that nobody thought was going to be 2-0 to start the season. The Pittsburgh Steelers. At home versus the Chargers. I would say this is probably the second toughest matchup they've had. I would argue Atlanta was probably higher on that tier going into the season than the Chargers would have been. But the Chargers have looked really good offensively. J.K. Dobbins has had quite the surge this year, and Justin Herbert's holding on to the ball pretty well. So, who wants to start?
Why don't
I'll
you start?
Yeah. Why don't you start, you Steelers fan?
I'll start. TJ Watt looks fantastic.
Yes, he does.
He is looking like just an absolute animal this year, and it's a beautiful thing to see. I am very, very concerned with the offense. I know we saw a couple shades of greatness last week. Now, most of them called back by holding penalties or something stupid. We had that nice throw to Pickens that was called back on a hold by Broderick Jones, who coincidentally got called for 3 holding penalties on 3 straight plays and then got yanked. Rightfully so. You just can't do that. A play that I didn't think was really a penalty that they called a touchdown back on was that they called a pick route when they were stacked up 3 left, it was like 1st and goal, and they ran I guess it was like little double post, and they called a pick route on it, which it didn't really look that bad. But other than that, Justin Fields made some really, really great throws. He held on to the ball well. He's done that, for the first 2 games of the season. Running game looks solid. We really just need to see them get that pass protection to a point where Justin Fields can roll out and do what he does and make those throws and create some plays. So this is a tough one for me. There's a large part of me that wants to hedge my happiness, and there's another part of me that wants to believe that they can be 3-0, and I'm going to do that this week. I'm taking Pittsburgh. I really love that defense. I don't think the Chargers have really gone up against a defense of this caliber up to this point. So I think the Steelers defense continues to give people a lot of problems. And I think the Steelers can pull this one out finally with a good offensive performance, that is, not just the defense. I'm thinking we're going to play well on both sides of the ball. Aaron.
Guys, it's time for everyone's favorite game show.
Are they
good? Are the Steelers are 2-0. The Chargers are 2-0.
Yep.
Right? Now, we kind of thought a little bit that with Harbaugh coming in that the Chargers were at least going to get a little bit of a bump. I don't know that we necessarily thought that meant playoffs by any means, but certainly better than what we saw out of Staley, right? Especially with that defense that was just porous. This is an interesting one, right? Because we do this every year. Where we're like, well, it's got to be the Steelers fall off, right? No, not necessarily. Mike Tomlin's just going to continue to do Mike Tomlin things, talk about hot dogs, confuse the hell out of me, and we'll keep on moving from there. But
I heard that
you
one
saw
today.
it, right, Bobby?
Crazy.
What was it? It was like he's like, I can't give you the ingredients to the. I don't even understand it. But
yeah, he said I can tell you how the hot dogs are made, but you don't want to hear that or something like that.
Right. Like it's the sausage, how the sausage is made, right? But Mike Tomlin has to make it his own,
right?
So, okay, I'm gonna take the Chargers. And I'm going to take the Chargers because I think they are uniquely situated to I still think the Steelers are a 9-10 win team, right? Does a 9-10 win team start 3-0? Maybe. But that means there's a lot of losses to follow. I still, of what I've seen for the first 2 weeks, can this team make the playoffs? Absolutely. Can this defense carry them the way? 100%. Like you were talking about with TJ Watt, I don't think there was any doubt that he was still a top defensive player in the league. I know there was a lot of talk about how the season ended last year because Miles ended up getting the defensive player of the year. It's just kind of hey, it's this, it's like Leo winning the Oscar for The Revenant. Was it his best work? No, but it was his fucking time, right? Like it's how it works. And I think TJ was going to wear that chip on his shoulder this year. And we're seeing that in the first 2 games. The Chargers are really good at running the ball. And what I anticipate is the Chargers are just going to hold on to the football for a really, really long time, which is going to force Justin Fields to need to be kind of perfect that I don't think I've seen out of him just yet. And I think we're due for a stinker out of him as well. I still think the Steelers are going to be a 9-10 win team, though.
Corey.
I'm going to echo John's comment in the chat. This is my favorite game out of the 1 o'clock slate. I think this is going to be a really interesting watch. If Justin Jefferson is healthy, however, I will go Minnesota, Houston. But I think this one is probably the most interesting one that I want to watch. Because like you said, Bobby, not 2 teams that we imagine that would be 2-0. What did I say?
No, I'm just reading through the chat now because I was ranting and I'm seeing
Our hot dog's
really good. So it's like an elite comment, just elite.
Well done. So I don't think that this. I still believe that the Steelers' offense is not very good. 13 points last week. Yep. You will lose. You will lose this week if you only score 13 points. And that's my concern. I think the Chargers are better than the Broncos, right? So. I think it's kind of which team do I think is better set up to be 3-0? Which one's more likely to be a 3-0 football team? I think the Chargers are because I feel better about their quarterback play. I feel better about a lot of things on the offensive side rather than more so than I do in Pittsburgh.
Well, one thing I would like to add, the Chargers have played the Raiders and the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
Raiders, yeah.
Oh no, you're not.
This is their first true test.
Offensively, the Broncos.
No, I mean like offensively for the Chargers. We're going to see what that offense is really made of this week.
I mean, they went against Max Crosby, who is probably the best edge rusher in football right now.
No.
Outside of Aiden Hutchinson. No.
Watt.
Based on performance alone, it's Aiden Hutchinson and Max Crosby. It's not debatable.
I think, and Bob,
It
just to
is
step in, and I don't
1000%
disagree with you,
debatable.
but TJ Watt is
Yes,
he's not a true defensive end. And I think that's what Corey is trying to say, which I would.
No. Mostly what I was saying is like based on statistics alone and not dragging anything to last. Like those two guys are playing. They have the highest performance this year. It's just true. Like Max Crosby is a fucking animal. If he's on any relevant football team, he's on any other relevant football team, he's probably winning multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards. He's just been on a trash football team. So I think he gets a little overlooked. Maybe this is me grandstanding a little bit just to help out a Mac guy, get a little bit of love. But I really like Max Crosby is just a fucking beast. So I just don't want to overlook the Raiders defense as like just they didn't go up against anybody. That's an elite pass rusher. And they beat him. So sure, I'm just putting that out.
But that's the only guy you have to stop there.
That's truly, not true. Come on, Bob. Come on.
The only guy you have to really stop there.
That's not how football works.
I mean, that really
an oversimplification.
If they stop TJ Watt, they can win then, right?
Well, no. We've got Alex Highsmith. We got Patrick Queen.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Corey, I got you.
Yeah. There's 10 other guys on the defense too. Well, then you got we just don't know the Raiders that well, so that's why we're not. The Raiders won a football game last week. Let's not forget that. They played really good
against the Ravens, who
I beat the Ravens.
Going to be in the Super Bowl. So yeah, I'm not going to just discount the Raiders too, Corey. I think that's actually a great point.
Yeah, I don't want to overlook them just yet. We're too early in the season for that. And I know it's your team, Bob, and I think that defense is elite. And I'm picking between a really good ribeye and a really good New York strip right now. Like both are going to be awesome, right? I'm really going to enjoy whatever Jeff Ruby's putting on my plate. And I don't want to take anything away from that Steelers defense. They will be the reason why they will, if not be in the wild card slot on that little graphic in November and December, they'll be right there in the hunt for a very long time. My main concern is strictly on the offensive side of the ball. They have to get more production out of Justin Fields, not just in statistics, in points.
No, I get that, but like I don't get the argument of Max Crosby's better than TJ Watt right now. I just don't get it. He's not as talented as TJ Watt. He's not playing as good as football as TJ Watt right now. Like I've watched all of these games start to finish, and TJ Watt has had way more of an impact than Max Crosby. So that's just my opinion. We don't have to agree. That's the
let's look at current NFL sack leaders. I'm just curious.
Okay, but last year we never that was a stat that you guys never wanted to argue was sacks.
I'm just curious, Bob. Let's pull it up.
Well, I want to make sure we're talking about the same stuff because we tried to have this conversation last year, and I brought up sacks and that TJ Watt was leading sacks, and that
bring out the tape.
He was great, and then you guys are, we can't base things on sacks. And now you're saying, but let's go to the stats,
Bobby. I personally don't recall us ridiculously diving into that. Hear me out. That is always
everybody in chat can sit there. We went through this last year. Same thing.
Max Crosby has 3 sacks.
I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is I don't agree with Corey in let's look at sacks. It is not the end all be all. It's like saying RBI.
I'm not saying it was. I was just curious. What are we? I'm just like that. Let's look at it. I'm not saying Max Crosby is better. I'm saying he's played better football.
I was going to say also, let me take a step back. I'm just the one in the middle here. I think TJ Watt's better, by the way.
Yes, me too. I want to be very clear about that. That's not what I'm talking about.
But that's not what you said.
Yes, it is. I'm articulating it right now. Listen to me very clearly. Max Crosby has put up better numbers in the first 2 games. That's exactly what I said. It's true. By measurable statistics, he has. That's all I'm saying. And I also went out and said I might be grandstanding a little bit here for a Mac guy. So I acknowledged my bias, but I am saying he currently has 1 more sack than TJ Watt. That's all.
I'll tie it all together here. TJ Watt looks like he looks like a freak to start the year.
Oh my
Max
God,
Crosby
so
is probably the most underrated defensive player in the league.
or
I would
or
absolutely
Trey
agree with
Henderson,
that.
or Trey Hendrickson.
I'm gonna go with Max there. Anyways,
All right, Corey, you're taking the Chargers. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. Let's move on to a couple teams we probably won't be talking a whole lot of defense about. We've got the Miami Dolphins headed up to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Fun game to talk about here, boys. Obviously, last week, Dolphins lost Tua. Who knows when he'll be back? I'm of the opinion that he should probably consider life after football, but that's not my decision, nor is it any of our decisions to make. It's his. And then you've got the Seahawks on the other hand. So Kenneth Walker, he did get hurt last week in that game. Is that right?
yeah.
Or was that prior?
Well, it wasn't in the game. He was injured prior.
It was prior
yeah.
too. Okay.
Banged up.
Any word on whether or not he's going to be back this week?
He's questionable. I mean, he could play, but I doubt it. And I think Charbonnet played just fine last week. I wouldn't hinge.
Oh, that's right. Charbonnet did have a pretty good game last week.
I really wouldn't hinge my pick on whether a running back's available for this one specifically.
No, I was just curious. Yeah, Todd's taking the Seahawks. Corey, I'll let you lead this one off. Who you got?
I was really high on Zach Charbonnet coming out of UCLA. I still think that if given the right opportunities, he can be a really good running back in this league. As far as Tua is concerned, the only comment I would ever make on this, and I'm not going to tell him what to do. Obviously, he doesn't listen. Wait, yeah, no, Tua's listening right now. Tua, if it were up to me, if you told me, hey, Corey, you can have $200 million, but you're probably not going to be well for the rest of your life, I'm probably going to take that due to the generational wealth that will be created. Like, I will be the Christ figure to lay on the sword for my grandchildren and give me the $200 million. And now everybody else gets to have really, really good lives because of what I did. That's what I would do. Can't make the decision for him. He's probably already set to have a really good life and do other things outside of football as well. You could look at it that way. But if I just had to pick, that's what I would do. I'm taking Seattle here. I have zero reason to think that anything out of Skylar Thompson is going to be good. We saw that. We've seen that experiment. I don't know why the Dolphins have not invested in some form of alternative plan to Tua, like you've seen around the league. Actually, they did the exact opposite. They extended him, made him one of the highest paid players in football. So just a really interesting approach out of Miami there. Give me Seattle, and I'm concerned for the Dolphins long term.
Sure, Aaron.
Yeah. Arrow made the comment in the chat here saying Miami looks bad with Tua and, without him as well. Part of, like, for Skylar, I don't think Skylar's looked great by any means, but it's very hard to install a new offense on the fly like that. I think Miami will look different with the benefit of the week to prepare for the fact that Tua is not in this game rather than on the fly trying to make those adjustments. But with that being said, Seattle's 2-0. They were a team that I think I might have been the only one to take the over on this year on them. I was a big.
You were high on them,
yeah. I was pretty high on them, and they start with New England and Denver. So I'm certainly not saying that they've lit the world on fire by any means. But what I do like is that they've won those games and they've won them close. And in terms of quarterback play, is it going to be any better or worse than what they've played so far? I think the Seahawks squeaked this one out. If this one wasn't in Seattle, I might be more apt to think that the skill positions in Miami can, potentially make this interesting. I think Devon Achane has been phenomenal to start the year. I mean, he's gashing defenses for 7-8 yards a carry.
As long as he stays on the field.
As long as he stays on the field. And that's the same thing with, I think Mostert's going to come back healthy this week. We'll see, even though he didn't look great in week 1, but short turnaround to a Thursday night in week 2, it makes sense for him to be out. But Achane got like 28, 30 touches last week. So if he was really banged up, I don't think it would have looked like that. I'll take Seattle here being in Seattle. I think this game's going to be closer than you guys think. Look at the Seattle's first 2 games. Those were close matchups.
Good point.
So Aaron, you and I actually both have the over on the Seahawks this year, and you actually locked it.
I locked it. Okay. Yeah,
So.
I knew I was high on him. I was just curious.
Yeah,
good call, Bob.
I'm taking Seattle here. I don't have any reason to pick the Dolphins. They've got a lot of things going on. Skylar Thompson, coming in on a relatively short notice, with Tua going out like a week to prepare for a game, going into Seattle where it's going to be loud. First game, starting this season in that environment. I just, it's kind of like the Bo Nix thing where it's like it's tough to communicate. It's loud. He's going to be nervous and rattled. So this is just not a good environment for him to get his first start this year. I'm taking the Seahawks. So.
Also, his name's Skylar.
Yeah, why don't you just cut to the chase and call him Tiffany?
No, and not even that, but like, who do you know named Skylar? That's like, there's not like a President Skylar Jefferson.
Yeah, Skylar White sucks.
Yeah, that's the low hanging fruit.
I'm taking it.
Sometimes it's just as right, baby.
All right, let's not spend too much time on the next game. We got the Well, this actually could be interesting. We got the Carolina Panthers taking things on the road to Vegas. The Red Rifle is he is at the helm. Bryce Young is benched, and taking things into Vegas against the Raiders. So it's obviously against Max Crosby. Statistically the best defender in the league right now.
No, Aiden Hutchinson is.
Oh,
I will say, when your team makes a generationally terrible trade, it's so much better when there's other people to share in the misery. And I'm talking to both Denver and Carolina. So, man, what the hell? You took a 5'11" quarterback. You traded ammunition to get it. You still have ammunition to trade for next year that you're on the hook for. What the fuck were they thinking?
Yeah, they salvaged their entire future for a guy that they're benching going into week 3.
Hey, man,
Yeah, it's tough sledding down there in Carolina.
I feel bad for Panthers fans. I don't know any, but I'm sure they're good people.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Andy Dalton had some pretty good success last year in the games that he played with the Panthers. Adam Thielen obviously benefited from it as well. I know he had a much better statistical season with Andy Dalton than without. Is Andy Dalton, is he good? Is he still good?
No. No, I think the contracts and playing time over the last 5 years have indicated that.
So I take it you're taking the Raiders, Aaron.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Raiders. I mean, we've seen them play competitive football. We've seen them again. We never really got Super Bowl picks, and I'm glad because I think I would have maybe taken the Ravens. And I'm happy to not have to put my balls on the line there. I'm taking the Raiders. Yeah, I think they're just fine. Devontae Adams is still really good. We've already hashed out Max Crosby. We don't need to go back through that. And then somehow like Minshew is just like, I don't know, like
just doing his thing.
He's fine. He's fine. He's going to always be the 25th best quarterback in the league. And, his best situation would be just behind somebody who happens to be 18th.
No, that's completely fair. Todd's shaking things up. He's taking the Panthers. I know that, we've had this, somewhat similar conversation where there's a coaching change or there's a quarterback change. It adds a little spark to the locker room. So maybe the Panthers
can I drop a nugget?
Some piss and vinegar. So, what do you got?
Andy Dalton's never lost to the Raiders. He's 4-0.
How many times were they in Las Vegas?
So made the streak?
Twice.
Okay, good. I was really hoping it was all Oakland.
So one of those was in a limited exposure as in a Chicago uniform. The last time he played them was in 22 with the Saints, where he went 22 of 30 for 229 and 2 touchdowns. Andy Dalton's 4-0 against the Raiders, guys.
So he's due.
Yes, what you're telling me is
Yeah,
we
but-
made it.
Roulette says to go against him. Give me the Raiders.
Let's go. He's betting on Dak, baby, in Vegas.
Oh my god.
I love
Man,
that.
there's like my heart's telling me to take the Panthers here, but my mind's telling me to take the Raiders.
I'm gonna be rooting for Andy Dalton. I love Andy Dalton.
I would love
He's
to see
such a
the
good
Panthers
guy.
get
He's
one on
such
the
a good
board.
guy.
Bobby,
Yeah,
I wouldn't think it'd be the worst. I'll be honest. I was kind of in that same boat too, like as Todd. Typically, when you make a change like this, there's just enough juice for one game and then they'll fall right back to earth. Like, are the Panthers going to go 0-17? Probably not that they made the change now. I would have been more likely had they just kept Bryce all season.
yeah.
This would be the one, though.
God, I don't see it, man.
Try to keep pounding.
I don't see it, man. They don't have anything else besides Adam Thielen on that offense. Like that's literally it. Xavier Legette, maybe. I mean, has he even gotten any targets? Like, I don't know. I haven't watched too many Panthers games. They haven't been on my radar. So, but all I know is they look like shit.
I only watch Red Zone, so I obviously haven't seen a lot of Panthers games either.
Yeah, that or you're seeing their defense get scored on.
Right.
All right. Let's move on. We've got the Rams at home taking on the 49ers. For those of you that had the first pick in your fantasy leagues and took Christian McCaffrey, sorry. They put him on IR.
Had the first pick and took CeeDee Lamb and then took Jordan Mason in the 10th round. Your boy, how you doing?
Right, exactly. I was able to scoop Jordan Mason in the league, so that was at least a little bit of relief.
If it makes you feel better, I'm still 0-2 in that league.
Yeah, so the Rams coming off a bad loss to the Cardinals. They got shellacked 41-10. Just rough week for the Rams, and then the Niners also coming off of an L, and they took that at the hands of the Vikings. So, I mean, we can continue to play this game, but it's just both of these teams obviously coming off bad losses either way. If the Rams, you got smacked. If you're the 49ers, you got beat by a team you shouldn't have got beat by. So either way, it's not good. Todd's taking the Niners here on the road versus the Rams. Aaron, who you got?
Yeah, I'm taking the Rams too. I mean, part of the reason I took the Cardinals against the Rams last week is...
I'm sorry. Did I say... I said he's taking the 49ers. Sorry.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I'm taking the 49ers.
Yeah, and you said...
Oh, you said the Rams.
Oh, you said...
Oh, did I?
Yeah, you said the Rams.
You said the Rams. That's why I was super confused.
I'm sorry. I'm taking the 49ers.
Okay.
But if I can talk about the Rams here, part of the reason I was why I took the Cardinals over the Rams last week on a flyer was just enough of like losing Puka, right? That was a big deal for me because I don't think we talked enough about this team losing Aaron Donald in the offseason to retirement and how the Rams have been structurally dominant over the last winning the Super Bowl and still being relevant since then is the fact that they've been able to pay superstars and kind of fill in the gaps with all their first round picks they've traded for Stafford, Ramsey, guys like that, and just rely on these guys that are stalwarts, blue chip guys, Cooper Kupp winning the Triple Crown, Aaron Donald being Defensive Player of the Year 2 times a year. Now you lose. You don't have that anymore. They haven't drafted to replace that cupboard. You have a lot of older stars. And as these guys are starting to fall off, unfortunately, seeing Cooper Kupp go out again, I believe their entire left side of the offensive line is into the second strings at least. That's not a recipe for success when you haven't restocked that cupboard. And, it worked. You went all in, you went for broke, and you won the Super Bowl. But we're going to see them pull back a little bit this year. And ironically enough, one of the guys I was most worried about, Stafford, he's the last man standing out there. So, Kyren Williams is also still there, but I just don't think they have the juice right now. I think this is going to be a down year for the Rams. I think we're looking at like a 6-win team.
Oh, wow. Corey.
I'm taking the 49ers here. There's no way I'm going against a 7-point spread. Both teams are banged up. Let's call it what it is. But I think the 49ers are better suited to ride through that. As we've talked about, this 49ers team kind of goes through this early on in the season. They get banged up. and you're lucky enough to catch him. Unfortunately, the Rams are also pretty banged up, and I think the Niners come out on top here.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add to that. The Rams are going to be relying on a couple young receivers, Demarcus Robinson, and I can't think of the other guy's name. But
Van Jefferson, he's still there? No, it's not him.
No, it's not Van. It's somebody else. I can't remember. Another young guy though. Yeah, they just don't have enough. Obviously, I think Debo just got hurt too. He's out. Is that right?
He did, yeah.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So lots of injuries, but yeah, I'm gonna
Johnson, Demarcus Robinson.
There it is. So, cool. Everybody's got the Niners here. Oh yeah, they got Tutu Atwell as well. So good old Tutu. All right. So next game we got the Lions, obviously coming off that loss to the Buccaneers that we were talking about earlier, and then the Cardinals, who we just mentioned. Man, Marvin Harrison Jr. Unreal day. Total opposite of week one. He had like 4 targets, 1 catch, and then he had 4 catches and 110 yards.
He had like 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, but the interesting part is he still finished with 4 receptions. It seemed like he was set up for a huge day.
Yeah, it seemed like he was going to go for a hell of a lot more. But apparently Kyler decided he wanted to throw the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. this week. So, but it was his job this week, but not last week. So weird. But yeah, we got the Lions versus the Cardinals. Todd's taking the Lions on the road. Corey, who you got?
Yeah, just talking a little bit, getting back to earlier, we were kind of talking about that Lions loss against Tampa, and kind of giving a shout out to Tampa's defense for stopping the Lions, and absolutely, I think a lot of the blame has been pointed at Jared Goff here in Detroit, or in Lion Land, if you will. I'm looking more at Ben Johnson, Mr. highest touted offensive coordinator. That's the scheme that you're laying out there for this offense in the red zone. Why isn't David Montgomery touching the ball? Why is that not happening? So call that why is Sam Laporta not getting involved into the second quarter? Why are you not scheming up for that? It's crazy to me. Also, where is this Lions defense? Where is it? You invested in it again. Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson's doing his job. He leads the league through two games. He's got 5.5 sacks. Aiden Hutchinson came to play this year. He's doing what he can to represent that C that's on his jersey this year, doing what he needs to do to try and get that next long-term contract. He's surely will be the next big contract that the Lions have to shell out is Aiden Hutchinson. Having shirt up Amon-Ra, Jared Goff, Penei Sewell this last offseason. Aiden seems to be the next one. That said, I think we're going to see kind of a bring back to center this week. I don't think the Cardinals are an elite team long term. I don't think the Lions are a bad team long term. So all in all, I think the Lions are a better team. I think they win this game. I think Aiden Hutchinson continues to do what he's been doing and producing and getting to the quarterback. I think that Ben Johnson brings out a better offensive scheme, getting these tight ends, running backs involved early, taking a little bit off a banged-up Amon-Ra St. Brown, making things a little bit easier for a Jared Goff, and the Lions get the win.
Aaron.
Yeah. Interesting to bring up the offensive coordinator, because we were talking so much coming up to this game for this pod of let's not overreact to 2 weeks, right? And I think we're kind of fence sitting here a little bit in terms of if I personally pegged the Lions as a 13-win team at the beginning of the year. That's who I thought they were. I put, no one wants to talk about bets, but just to say that I put my own balls on the line for it. I thought Jared Goff as MVP this year at plus 2,000 was phenomenal value, in the same way that when Dak Prescott almost got it last year, it's just, hey, who's one quarterback who's going to be on a really good team who hasn't won it before, and just the narrative of, oh my God, the Lions were given a first-round pick, and now they've gotten Goff back to where they've never been, and where the Lions I'm like, oh, I can see that happening like so many times. If you simulate this 100 times, that's 10 times is the outcome. I'm going to stick with the Lions here. I'm still heavily involved with the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are good, Corey. I think this is the one year where we're going to have to change our philosophy in this. I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to make the playoffs.
October 24th.
We'll revisit it then, and
What comes out October 24th, Bob?
New Call of Duty, baby.
Yeah, thank you.
Already have it.
I'm taking the Lions here. I'll reassess after 3 weeks here if I think they're not that 12-13 win team, but I still think they are. I think they just stumbled in week 2, and I don't want to overreact.
Yeah, I think Corey made the good point. Aiden Hutchinson's been phenomenal this year. Kyler didn't have to face any severe pass rush like that last week with the Rams defense, and that's going to change this week. So he's going to have a lot less time to get rid of the ball. He's going to have to get creative. I see a lot of mirroring of week 1 in this where the Cardinals just struggle offensively. So I'm going to take the Lions here.
Quick point. No, watch for Kyler to use his legs. Baker was extremely successful on the run last week. That Lions linebacking core needs to be ready to spy, keep it, put some pressure on, keep them contained, if you will. Whatever they need to do, they need to scheme for that.
Yeah, another point you made that I loved was the fact that they ran away from David Montgomery, which he basically won them the game last week on that drive where they just literally kept handing him the ball and he kept getting first downs and eventually scored the touchdown. And then where the hell is Sam Laporta been? Yeah. He's the best tight end in the league last year, and I think he's got maybe 4 catches through 2 games. Something stupid. Like, target this man. He is such an asset.
Yeah, but I guess in as oddly as it seems, what tight end is playing well right now? It's weird. This is a weird season.
0
so far.
Tight ends. Isaiah Likely had 1 good game, and then everybody else has been mediocre. So,
exactly. It's not just Laporta. I think that might have something to do with defenses a little bit. I think defenses start the year at an advantage because offenses are trying to get up to speed, especially when they haven't played together in the preseason, and the offensive line probably hasn't had snaps together. I think throughout the season you see the offense start to click. I think defense is just comes out of the gate a little bit hotter.
Yeah, well, one thing I'll say is this 4 o'clock slate is absolutely stacked outside of that first game. Obviously, we 49ers, Rams, Lions, Cardinals, and then next you've got Ravens, Cowboys. 4 o'clock slate, if you've got the ticket, is going to be an absolute fucking banger. So the Ravens are on the road in Dallas. Both of these teams are Ravens are 0-2, Cowboys are 1-1.
Both coming off
really bad losses.
Everybody, I'm sure, was unanimous in those decisions last week.
Oh, absolutely. Nobody strayed on that. Everybody picked the Ravens. Everybody picked the Cowboys. Unbelievable. We were in a last man standing league, me and my dad, and I think of the half the teams got knocked out. There was 200 teams that got knocked out because the Ravens lost. Something nuts. The Ravens just, what a bad week from them. But kudos to the Raiders. Raiders stepped up and got it done. So I'm not taking anything away from them. But as far as this game's concerned, this is in Jerry World. Man, Cowboys are struggling right now, boys. I mean, so are the Ravens, but Cowboys, I feel like sitting at 1-1 for them right now is a lot worse than the Ravens being 0-2, just with the prestige that the Cowboys are supposed to have.
I don't agree with that at all.
I would feel better if I'm a Ravens fan than I would if I was a Cowboys fan, because the Cowboys just don't seem like they have anything going on.
The Cowboys have the Giants and the Commanders in their division. The Ravens starting 0-2. It's even, and you have the Bengals 0-2 are going to be a little bit more desperation.
Yeah.
The AFC North is always a dogfight. I'm sorry. I disagree.
No, you're good. You're good.
I think it's a valid point, though, to be concerned about where the Cowboys are, because we don't really know who they are yet.
That's kind of what I was trying to get at.
I understand that argument. At the same time, I still feel more secure in Dallas at home in this game than I do in Baltimore. I don't know who the Ravens really are yet. That's my biggest thing with them. I mean, they lost a really tough game to the Chiefs. They lost a really tough game to the Raiders as well. We just don't really know who a lot of these football teams are yet. So in an even split game, I'm going to go with the Cowboys, who have won 16 of their last 17 games at home. So give me Dallas.
All right, fair enough. Aaron, who you got?
Yeah, the game being at Dallas, Corey, it's a great point. I mean, that certainly gives me pause. I obviously just made the point I just did about the Ravens. I think you're going to see much more desperate play out of them in this one. And if I'm the Cowboys, I obviously wish the Ravens just won last week and were 1-1. And I think the Cowboys would be a much easier choice in this one, especially factoring the fact that it's in Dallas. And it's, again, Corey, they won 16 in a row going into this last week where we all pegged them to beat the Saints, right? So interesting. This is a very interesting game because the stakes seem very high as opposed to any of the other ones, just because of where these teams find themselves early of a who the hell are we type of situation.
The good news for Dallas, real quick, just to interject, the rest of the division hasn't really played that well.
So that's kind of my point. I'm taking the Ravens here because I think you're going to see a much more desperate level of football than what the Cowboys are. The Cowboys won week 1 and they look good doing it. And I don't think their season is toast if they lose this game. For the Ravens, statistically, it's toast, but with this team, it's tough to say. If you lose 3 games between week 12 and week 15, it equals the same as 1-3, but it has a different weight to it, right? So I'm not saying it's over by any means. We've seen teams make the playoffs after losing, 3 games in a row, and I think that's the way we have to look at it. But it's who are we as a team? Again, guys, the way that the Ravens played last year, I pegged them as at the very least going to the Super Bowl this year because it's boring to just pick the Chiefs again. You got to pick somebody else. But in my heart of hearts, obviously, I'd take the Chiefs. But got to go with the Ravens here, guys. I think they are going to be digging and clawing and pulling every trick out of the book in this one. And at the end of the day, I'd rather take Harbaugh over McCarthy.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I feel like this is a pretty desperate game for both teams. All things considered, the Cowboys, this is really their last shot before they have to fucking blow it. I know they just extended Dak, but
I'm curious where this is, why you're saying that, Bob.
Yeah.
It's
they just pounded Cleveland week 1.
Yeah, but they got absolutely shellacked by the Saints. Nobody saw that coming.
I don't disagree with that, but I don't think that they're down bad as the Ravens right now.
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens definitely play in a more difficult division.
Do you think the 49ers season's over? After losing to the Vikings?
No, because I think the Vikings are a better football team than...
okay, so the Saints are 2-0.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, just thinking of Jerry Jones as for Cowboys.
He's a Steelers fan. He hates the Cowboys.
I fucking hate. I do hate.
I totally. Cowboys. I'm just curious where it's coming, and I'm not even saying that's the case, but I'm just curious because I
don't feel like the Ravens are a good football team this year, guys.
It's are they good? This is a great. Are they? This is the 4 o'clock. Are they good?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think they're a good football team this year. That's really just what it comes down to.
They went toe to toe with Kansas City. I think there's something to be said about that.
This game could be the epitome of the question.
Yeah, I feel like this is a bigger game for the Cowboys because I don't think the Ravens are that good. They got worse this offseason. They were the only team in our division to get worse.
I think you could argue Cleveland from an offensive line and running back perspective, just because they don't have.
I mean, they didn't last year.
I mean, once Chubb comes back, I mean, they didn't lose him. He's just hurt. So I'm just talking from a roster, top to bottom. The Ravens got worse.
They won the most games I've seen in my lifetime without him. I'm not saying that means Nick Chubb is bad. I'm just saying.
Oh, you're talking about the Browns. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, who?
Yeah, it took me a minute, but I started picking up. He's put down.
Sorry.
I guess that's where it's really stemming from here. I think the Cowboys have a decent roster. They still got a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball. They're a little weak at running back. Obviously having to bring back Ezekiel Elliott, who's he's kind of getting up there at this point as far as running back years go. But you got one of the best receivers in the league.
I was gonna say they kind of work around that with the running back thing, in kind of the same way the 49ers use Debo, where it's like they get him on end arounds and you just give him the ball in short distance.
Right. So, but yeah,
one thing we're not talking about here. The Ravens' offensive line is terrible.
Yeah,
it is bad.
They're not
awful.
good. Like,
they have to go against Micah Parsons.
And I don't think Lamar Jackson's an elite
Derrick
passer in this league. Like, he's not. Like, he can throw the ball well, but like when it comes down to it, like he doesn't make the throws when they need to be made.
This is why the Cowboys will win. I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier. This is why the Cowboys are going to win. It's because the Ravens can't block anyone.
Correct.
They have a terrible offensive line, and I think Micah Parsons is going to go off.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys have a lot more to play for this week than the Ravens do, because I just don't think the Ravens are there this year. So, after what I've seen week 1 and week 2, so I don't know. Maybe they'll prove me wrong, but yeah, my pick for Zay Flowers has really bit me in the ass these last 2 weeks. So, all right, cool.
I know we remember the Ravens lost to the Chiefs, but like they were historically great last year in so many metrics. It's just wild to me. And I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe it all hinges on that offensive line, because you're right. It has objectively been bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Derrick Henry is certainly not a running back who he needs
scare
preheat.
anybody
He needs
He
to
can't-
preheat.
Yeah, he doesn't really get cooking until middle of the second.
He's just Stouffer's family style lasagna.
Yeah, you can't to him in space and he'd be like, oh, now I'm off. It's like he's got to just train up and running.
Yeah, absolutely. Ariel's taking the
tonight.
Ravens because he doesn't think they're going to go down 0-3. Well, that would
That's
be
how I
something to
feel.
see these two teams 1-2 going into week 4. That would be that'd be pretty nuts. So either way, I'd be okay with it. I mean, I'd much rather see the Ravens 0-3. So maybe that's where a little bit of my bias is coming from as well. But all right. So is this a week where we have 2 Monday night games this week?
So stupid.
So
Ooh,
yeah,
John
so-
in the chat. What's Lamar's record against the
John.
NFC? 20-3. John is the answer to your question.
And 1-0 versus Dallas. He's only played Dallas once.
fade the streak.
But 20-3.
Fade the streak.
20-3
Good
is
call,
a damn
John.
good
Good call.
record. But I guess my question would be is who have they played in the NFC? So
I can tell you right now.
23 teams.
Would you like to know?
It's
Would you like to know?
like
23
That's
teams.
not true. Well, 23 teams. But here,
unique.
let me give you those teams.
I say there's not 23 teams in the NFC.
Yeah, but you're going back to 2018. Do you really want to go through all the teams?
Do you want the games? So in 2018, he played the entire NFC South.
Okay.
In 2019, he beat Arizona, Seattle, and the Rams, as well as San Francisco. In 2020, he beat the Commanders, the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Giants.
Clean
In
sweep.
2021, he beat the Lions, the Vikings.
They sucked in
In
2021.
2022, and they did. In 22, he beat the Giants, the Buccaneers,
Don't know.
the Saints, the Panthers. In 23, last year he beat Detroit.
So I'm
the Cardinals,
not hearing a lot of good teams.
Okay,
the
but
Seahawks, the Rams,
based on what?
the Niners.
Who was on those
It's
teams
just
in
a
2018?
stat.
Like, what are we talking?
Yeah.
What the fuck
It's
are we
just-
talking
it's
about?
just- It's just a stat. I'm just
No,
We've
I know,
gone
but
down
I'm
a
saying-
rabbit hole.
No, but I'm saying you're going through his actual teams, and Bobby's like not hearing any good teams. Like, who was the
Yeah, but
quarterback on
when
those
was
teams
the-
in 2019?
Yeah, but when's the last
Matt
time
Ryan
Saints
on
were
the
good?
Falcons.
When's the last time
they had Drew
that the
in
Cardinals-
2018. They had Drew Brees.
a bad Drew Brees?
Oh, a bad one. They were still making the playoffs. Like, what are we talking
No,
about?
they weren't.
All right. We've spent enough time on the
Geriatric
Ravens
Drew
and Cowboys.
Brees throwing average 3.5 yards per throw.
What are we talking about?
We're
It's just
talking
the fact
about
they spent 3
the
against the
Sunday
NFC.
night
That's
game now, Aaron. We're talking about the Sunday night game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons are home, coming off a big win, coming off a big Monday night win against the Eagles. So
Love it.
Short week for them, relatively speaking, to get one less day. But man, I don't know what to think of the Falcons right now. They didn't put up a ton of points, but they also didn't allow a ton of points last week.
The defense is good, dude. I love that.
Who wants to ask the question?
Yeah, I mean we already know.
Are
What,
they good?
here, are they better than the Chiefs? I guess that's the question we really need to ask right now for this Sunday night matchup. Todd's taking the Chiefs in this one, boys. Aaron, I'll let you lead it off.
Yeah, I mean, I got to take the Chiefs too, right? I'm not really sold on this Falcons team just yet. Arthur Smith is gone, and the ghost seems to live on, whatever it is in the building. Might not have been Arthur Smith. Offense might look better in Pittsburgh. Who knows? Yeah, man. I like Kansas City at some point is going to have to slip a little with. They played Thursday night. They played primetime 4:00. Like, I know that's not primetime, but like still all eyes on 4:00 game across the country. And now Sunday Night Football. Like, give me some different shit. Like, let them play at 1:00. It's fine.
Dude,
We'll be
fuck
fine.
them, dude.
We'll be okay.
Sick of this fucking shit.
Chiefs.
Yeah,
I'm taking the Chiefs.
Yeah, they can't afford to miss out on all the money they make for having the Swifties roll in and watch these games. So
And watch Travis Kelce have 39 yards through 2 games. Fuck
yeah,
They're
just
not
be-
watching for him.
just be
It's the
mediocre
8
as
shots a game.
all right, Corey.
I think Matt Judon has the longest streak in the NFL of sacks. The left tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs is probably one of the hottest pieces of garbage I've ever seen. Really good at the chokehold. He's really good at that, but not so great at pass protection. Matt Judon will get a sack. Go ahead and place that bet down right now. I'm taking the Falcons at home, dude. I think this team's riding hot right now. I think they feel really confident about what they've got, and I just feel it. It's a gut feeling. There's 0 things on paper that I can tell you other than that I think that they will get to Patrick Mahomes. They will affect him. I think Jesse Bates has seen Patrick Mahomes a lot. I think he's got a lot to contribute to this secondary. I think that's something. So it's just a gut feeling. There's not really a whole lot outside of pass rush and Jesse Bates that I've got. There's nothing necessarily that I would say I've seen out of this Falcons offense that inspires me. Not a whole lot necessarily out of that Chiefs defense either, though, that has like scared me a whole lot. So go ahead and give me the Falcons in an upset at home in prime time.
Love it. Just feels it deep in his plums.
Yeah, and fuck the Chiefs.
Here's my new Kirk Cousins theory for you guys.
Oh,
He's a
I've been
dog.
waiting for this.
He's a dog. Is that your theory?
What time did they play when they played the Steelers?
4 o'clock.
Prime time Kirk.
1:00.
1 o'clock. Okay. And they
What
lost.
time did they play last week? Prime time.
Prime time. Yeah. That's why. Are you? Is the
He,
curse
he
reversed?
is he has now flipped the script because he is in Hotlanta.
Oh my god. And dude, and last year he's wearing the chains and shit. Oh my god.
So
Yes,
this-
dude. Yes.
I'm taking the Falcons.
Yes.
I'm taking the Falcons to beat.
We
the
took
Chiefs
the
this week.
whitest person we know and we put him in the blackest city in America, and he's just becoming better. That's a message.
So this is just illogical. It does not make sense, but this is
I like how
my
you both are
theory,
just like vibes.
and I am gonna
Yeah,
test,
dude.
I'm gonna test the theory this week by taking the Atlanta Falcons in prime time with Kirk Cousins.
The Dirty
I actually can't-
Birds.
I actually can't tell you how much more respect for that answer I have than you being, well, actually, if you take a look between the hashes, the Falcons, like, no, fucking vibes, dude.
Yes.
Nothing but them.
Yes, this is my crazy ass theory. Is that obviously he used to be primetime Kirk Cousins was 1 p.m. Now it's actually prime
No
time.
No mo.
I mean, one
Okay.
of the greatest players in Falcons history. His name's prime time. So, welcome to Hotlanta, Kirk.
How's
What are you
Colorado
talking
doing, Bob?
Hey, they just won on
Oh,
Saturday.
I don't care. Colorado.
won.
That hype's over. I'm off that train.
Well, that's where Coach Prime is.
I'm aware. But
I-
yeah, prime time doesn't exist in Colorado
He's
right
also
now.
in Canton, to be fair.
Oh no, absolutely. I'm just saying, as a coach, I don't think he's very good.
He's in the Hall
Yeah,
of Fame
prime
there.
time in Colorado. It's like mountain. It's like 2 hours behind. Like,
Yeah. Like, I'm having dinner.
yeah. Like, ugh.
All right, guys. Let's move on to these dual Monday Night Football matchups.
Don't like it.
One of
So
them
good.
starts at 7:30, and the other starts at 8:15. So I'm assuming these are going to be on two different platforms. One of them will probably be on Prime or some stupid Peacock.
One will be on ESPN, the other will be on ABC. The Jags Bills is on on ESPN, and then the Cumrags and the Bengals will be on ABC.
Well,
Red Zone had to bust out the Deca box last week. Like, what are we doing having two Monday night games? What are we doing?
No idea.
I hate it.
Absolutely no idea. Yeah, but the first one is the Jags on the road in Buffalo, taking on the Bills. So
Jacksonville's bad. I'm just gonna get out in front of
this isn't much of a conversation for me. I'm taking the Bills. Trevor Lawrence is garbage.
Yeah, he's not playing great, but the rest of that team isn't looking too good either. I think that this is a higher scoring affair. And most of that being from I do think so. I think we see a lot of points in this one, and most of that coming from Buffalo. Give me the Bills.
Hey, Ron.
I had the Bills pretty much down here in Penn. It's I'm trying again. I might. It's not decided yet. I feel like we have just talked about we can't make definitive statements through 2 weeks, right?
Yes, we can. The Carolina Panthers are a bad football team.
I don't think they're in the same plane level or anything as the Jacksonville
Agreed.
Jaguars.
But I'm just making the point that we can make
okay, but within reason, right?
Sure.
You guys were the ones who were telling me at the beginning of the year that the Bills weren't good.
That's not what I took the over.
I don't think so.
Oh, I took the under, and I took them to win the division.
Let me pull it up here.
Yeah.
I've got it right.
I said they can win 10 games, and the under still hits.
Corey took the under. All of us took the under except for Aaron, who took the over.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if there's anyone here who should be like, yeah, Bills all day.
My lock for the Dolphins over is not looking too great right now.
I feel like I just feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I think that's what's happening, where I'm like, we're doing this thing where we're like, well, I know this to be certain is that the Bills, like, yeah, should the Bills win this game? 100%.
Welcome to a pickup
football. but it's foot. I'm taking the Jaguars now.
All right, dude, let's go.
Just like how we were talking with Vibes. Like Vibes felt really bad how certain you guys both were that the Jaguars didn't have a fucking snowball's chance in hell in this game. That's not true.
Okay, so my question is, what would have shown you over the last 2 weeks that there's either something in Jacksonville that the Bills can't stop, or that there's
Brian Thomas Jr. goes for 8 receptions, 180 and 2 touchdowns.
When has he done that ever?
I've seen him make big plays. That's okay. When did Marvin Harrison do that before this last week?
Hold on. My
question was terrible.
Did you say 100 yards or 180 yards?
He's saying how is it that?
Hold on. Can I get my question out, please? What has Jacksonville shown you that they would be able to put against Buffalo that Buffalo couldn't stop, or what has Buffalo shown you that Jacksonville can exploit? I just wondered if it's just fucking right here in your plums. I love that. Let's ride with it. But is there anything? Because then we aren't taking crazy pills, because everything we've seen in the first 2 weeks would justify why Buffalo currently at home is a 5-point favorite.
So honestly, it's fading your guys' confidence. That's what it is.
Okay.
It's in your plums.
Hey, don't. Yeah. Hey, I'm not going to talk.
You guys didn't like the Bills. They had to come back to win the Cardinals, another team you guys did.
I said they were going to win the division. I want to be very clear about that. They were going to win the division. I said that.
I do remember you saying that. So
thank you, Bobby. I love
you. That's fair. But out of memory, I do remember that I was the only one to take the over on the Bills. If there's anyone who should have taken them there, I'm just saying. It's vibes.
All right. Lone Wolf with the Jaguars there. Good luck. All right. Last game. Got the Bengals at home versus the Commanders. So, Corey, is this a get right game for the Bengals?
I have to ask it.
Go ahead.
Are the Bengals good?
Yeah. Okay. And that, my friends, is the juicy truth. Brought to you by Rhinegeist Brewery, Cincinnati, Ohio. Rhinegeist is not a sponsor, but they could be. Bengals are a good football team. I don't think anybody really questioned that outside of after what happened to week 1. And they played, they were the better football team on Sunday. They're better than the Chiefs. They are a better football team than the Kansas City Chiefs. I wholeheartedly believe that. I absolutely believe that. They are. They're better. Let's talk about. Can we talk about last week a little bit? Can I just talk about it real quick?
Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. There were. Let me just throw this out there. I don't know how many times you could have thrown a flag for Trey Hendrickson being held in that game, but it's more than there were thrown for Trey Hendrickson being held in that game. Insane. I have never seen more blatant holding not called in the NFL than in that game. Crazy.
Rough start because me and Bobby watched TJ Watt and Myles Garrett, so not a lot of sympathy on that one, but
so you get it.
We get it.
Yeah, I understand it.
So frustrating. So frustrating.
Yeah, that sucks. It happens every week.
So the only difference is the entire country watched it happen. Also, Tony Romo. Does Chris Collinsworth hold Patrick Mahomes' balls as you suck his dick every single week, or do you guys take turns? I'm just curious. I've never seen someone make up for shitty quarterback play more so than Tony Romo does for Patrick Mahomes. And Jim, here's Patrick just throwing this one into the ground on purpose. No, he didn't. It was a bad throw, Tony. He's capable of it. He is capable of having bad throws. You piece of shit. Next point. 90% of the time on Hail Mary throws, that's not pass interference. If that's pass interference, every Hail Mary throw that has ever happened in football has pass interference on it, and it doesn't get called. Why? Because of the situation of the game. Take that away. Fine. He was there early. It's pass interference. Where are the holding calls that are not happening as Patrick Mahomes is running around for his life? If you haven't seen the screenshots, they're out there. You can find them. Whatever. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of the fucking shit that happens for this team. There's been no one that's had more interceptions taken off the board than Patrick Mahomes in the NFL ever at this point in his career. It's never happened. I'm just tired of it. Maybe they're justified. Maybe they're not. That doesn't change the way I feel about them. It's disgusting. It's so annoying. I'm tired of it. The Bengals are better than the Chiefs. You can't convince me otherwise. They played better football than them without T. Higgins. That said, you've unleashed a fucking demon. The Kraken has come out, and his name is Joseph Lee Burrow, and he's going to decimate the Commanders on Monday. And I can't wait for T. Higgins to be a part of it. Give me the Bengals by 30. Let's go.
30.
They're gonna absolutely fucking destroy them, and I can't wait. It's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah, it's week 3.
Stripe the Jungle game too. Ring of Honor game. Let's go. All clock killing Dylan is coming to that. Or Chase Brown breakout game. Could be. Clock killing Dylan going into the Ring of Honor. Shout out number 28.
Alrighty.
Thank you. Hey guys.
Bobby, I need you to go.
Thank you. Thank you for my.
Yeah, I think it was a shit call and a shit situation, Corey. He was early. Just speaking objectively, was the ball catchable? I not really. I think it was overthrown. So, either way, fucking sucks. Bengals did play a good football game last week against the Chiefs, and obviously had a lot of calls that didn't go their way. So, definitely feel for you. Yeah, I mean, I'm taking the Bengals here. I don't see any reason in why the Bengals don't kill them. I don't think it's 30 points, but
I might have been hyperbolic.
Still the NFL. I would say
Sorry, dude.
at most
It's a pick 'em, and you gave 30 points for some reason.
yeah. So points aren't necessary in a pick 'em, but
he gave them anyway. So
I'm sure if you can find that spread on any
7.5.
gambling website at plus, if you take a 30-point winner, then that's going to be some good. It's going to be some good payout there. But yeah, I think the Bengals win by at least 2 touchdowns. I don't think this game's close. It shouldn't be. The Commanders are not even close to being a good football team when you compare them to the Bengals or any other team of their caliber. So this should be an easy home win for the Bengals. Finally get them on the board this year. And we'll see if that can get the ball rolling for the rest of their season. So
I just sorry, Aaron.
Yeah,
I will kick. I just want to actually speak a logical football sense for a little bit after I went on my tirade there, and I just want to thank all the viewers for putting
40 points.
Yeah, they're winning by 35.
35 points.
Thank you for putting up with that.
And all of the Trump animations that you had going on here.
Quite frankly, it was a terrible call, fraudulent call, stolen game. But seriously, that was cathartic. So thank you.
It's all good, Tez.
I think I am not happy with the way Ja'Marr Chase has conducted himself. Let me just put it out there. I think a lot of frustration boiled up. However, let me just speak to Ja'Marr Chase real quick. The reason why he's frustrated, it was a hip drop tackle on him. There's a replay where you can see the defender is kind of pinned on his knee. That's what he was getting frustrated with the ref about. It could have been disastrous. It could have been absolutely terrible. Real quick on the football stuff, Bengals offensive line is playing phenomenal. Orlando Brown was the highest rated left tackle in football last week. And I haven't been able to really celebrate that. I liked what I was seeing out of the running game as well. Chase Brown, so explosive coming out of the backfield. Really did a good job. And Lou Anarumo did it again, man. Just a perfect defensive scheme against the Chiefs. We're really okay with you running the football on us. That's fine. You are not going to beat us with Patrick Mahomes. Travis Kelce had 1 catch the entire game, right? And I think it was taken away. If not, he only did have 1 catch. But nonetheless, they played good football. I feel better after this, like way better after this loss. And even though it was a bigger gut punch and more frustrating, I was like, all right, dude, I was ready to play the next day. I was like, give me Washington. Let's go. I know this team has the chops. Than how I felt after the New England game, for sure.
No, absolutely. Aaron, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm obviously taking the Bengals, guys. I'd be stupid not to. Corey, if I was a Bengals fan and I watched that game, I'd probably be just as justifiably upset as you were. I've seen worse personally, like just to call it what it is. But
in terms of the pass interference, like you've seen,
like just your hearing you talk about how one-sided the officiating was. I know I have been that person before as a passive viewer of not liking either team. Yeah, it felt like it leaned towards the Chiefs a little bit, but not as egregious as that. But again, if I was in your shoes, I know I would feel the exact same way.
Yeah, sure.
So empathy wise, we've all been there, and I don't want to discredit that because, 100%. And I think everything you said is more than justifiable, especially coming from the fans' perspective.
What do you think about the Hail Mary point? I'm just curious on where you guys land on that. It was a 59-yard penalty.
So my thing is, if they really, really wanted to give the Chiefs the game, they wouldn't have called back the reception they just made the play before.
On Kelce.
No.
I don't disagree.
It would have been much easier. They didn't need to go for style.
I don't think he's talking about he's not talking about the situation
sorry.
or giving somebody a game. He's just talking about the scenario. Teams irrelevant. Like that play, let's say
it's never called.
Saints Vikings and Derek Carr bombs one down to Rashid Shaheed and it's a jump ball.
On a jump ball, that's not called. You don't call that unless he's
it's
going for the ball. He's not.
Yeah, I mean it's probably akin to giving foul shots on a half court shot.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. I think the big,
but also depending on what it is, like, you know, sometimes there certainly is a level there.
Right.
Probably
There's
didn't
a
reach
line.
it. Probably
There's a
didn't
line.
reach it. And that's, and again, totally think every feeling that you're feeling is more than justifiable. I want to make sure I'm saying that, because I've been that fan before, and especially it always seems to happen to the Chiefs. It might always seem like it happens to the Chiefs because we're always watching their games, because like we were just talking before, they're on every fucking game. I think more of the problem is refereeing in the NFL, and just we see the Chiefs more than most teams.
Yeah,
personally, is
fair point.
how I feel a little bit. But again, I don't disagree with what you were saying or the message of what you're saying, especially from a fan's perspective. So I don't really want to touch on that anymore, because that's, refereeing is what it is. Part of it a little bit is like the product of the NFL this year. I feel like hasn't been phenomenal in general. The kickoff rule has been fine. Like I haven't really noticed that making a major impact on the game outside of, guys, I got to be honest with you. Right, I alluded to it earlier. Also, I took the Bengals. I'm just now talking football. Don't love kickers just being like, I'm just gonna kick a 58-yarder. It's boring. This is, you know how in the NBA everyone's just hitting 3-pointers, and like it's like remember watching like 90s basketball too, like the football you used to grow up on, or the basketball you used to grow up on, and you're like, it's just changed. Football's changed a little too much for me now, where I'm like, I'm not loving the product.
You're the old man.
2 weeks in. Yeah, it's 2 weeks in though. I think in general, offense has been bad in general. You know, I think week 1.
I think we saw that last year though.
Yeah,
right?
I know. Week 1, I think we had 1 or 2 quarterbacks throw for over 200 yards, like shit like that is what I'm saying. Yeah, you're right. And I think part of it is, and I alluded to through this whole conversation, is the preseason. Like we are now treating this like the preseason. So it's hard for me to make definitive decisions about teams up till here, whether we're talking about teams that are 0-2 or teams that are 2-0. I don't know, and that was my joke coming into this whole thing. Are they good? I don't fucking know, guys.
All right, well, Tez, thanks for getting those picks into us, brother. Chat, that is going to wrap it up for us this week. Hopefully we get another interesting week of football, so we have lots to talk about next Wednesday. So next Wednesday we'll have Todd, but we will not have Aaron, and then the following, all 4 of us will hopefully be here and ready to rock and roll for the first time.
I should be good after that.
Month. So
just a lot of work.
So long as I am not
with child. Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We're T-minus, we're at 26 days until the air arrives. So we'll be on baby watch 24. So
there you go. Cool beans. Well, chat, everybody, thanks for coming through and watching. We'll catch you guys next week. Best of luck in your fantasy leagues. We will see you guys on Wednesday.
Bye. Peace.